So with that, I will call Kristen Kling, 4955 Weston Lane.
Mayor, council members, thank you for letting me speak today. I'm here to let you know that I am very interested in the hiring for the DEI position. I think that the city needs someone in that position, but I am a bit worried that I don't understand how come the first hire didn't work out. So I just want to ask that there be some sort of perhaps reflection on maybe if something went wrong or how things could be done better the next time around, because I really think that we need that position. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kristen. Next, I'll ask Audra Rudy's at 18005 27th Place North.
Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to speak and address you today. As a Plymouth representative, I want to say, as a Plymouth resident, you're my representatives. I just want to say that I thank you for passing the budget and approving the diversity, equity, and inclusion position. As Kristen mentioned, I also have concerns about why it didn't work out, and I would like there to be, maybe some visibility on that if there can be transparency, or at the very least, I hope that you all will reflect on that and make sure that you act on that, because I think that's very, very important. When we think about DEI, what we are thinking about really is kind of what I have here. In a world where we can be anything, be kind. And I think sometimes we kind of miss that out, and we can be insensitive or mean and harsh or things like that unintentionally. And it can go anywhere from acts like that to actually really affecting people disproportionately in negative ways. I was really disheartened to hear that a representative here had used a term, and not just once, but over and over again, describing COVID as a flu, which it is not. That's misinformation and could be misleading, but also using a racial slur to describe it. Now, perhaps you may not think that's racist, and that's fine, but something that I tell my students is if I walk up to you and I accidentally hit you, right, and you say, ouch, and I say, oh, I didn't hit you that hard, it's okay. Who knows what pain I inflicted on that person? Am I in a position to know? Or are they in the position to know? And if that person says to me, you hurt me, and I'm like, but I didn't hit you that hard, I don't know that they sprained their arm yesterday playing baseball. I don't know that they have, an injury I can't see or something like that. And so when it comes to these sorts of things, when a whole community speaks out and says, this is hurtful, this is racist, this is damaging to us, this is harmful, you, as our representatives, I hope will listen attentively to that. And it's not about whether you agree or disagree. It is about being kind and considerate. And it is about listening and responding. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. When you're in council chambers, you have to be respectful of the fact that you are in council chambers. We don't have applauding. It's not teams. We're cheering for this team or cheering for that team. I ask you to be respectful, please. Okay. Thank you. Next, we'll ask Kimberly, and I'm sorry if my name's not easy either. How do you pronounce the name?
It's pronounced Nguyen. It's spelled Nguyen, and my husband is Vietnamese.
Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you. I'm also here about the diversity, equity, and inclusion position, and the fact that it's not fully supported is very disappointing. I imagine if you ask any corporation in Plymouth or in Minnesota if they plan to or have people asking them to eliminate the position, most corporations, executives would say no, we plan to keep it. Mr. Prom, you said the Wuhan flu several times in the November meeting. It was the first time that I have really felt that Asian households were intentionally disrespected here in Plymouth. I grew up in Iowa. I'm a fifth-generation farm family member, and it's hard. It's hard being different down in Iowa, but here it's easier. It's way more acceptable, and people have your back. And I'd like to thank the council members that called me after I submitted the email about how upset I was about Mr. Proms' remarks. So thank you so much for doing that and for encouraging me to come and speak. I want to take the last few minutes to talk about other politicians, other elected officials who have used the term Wuhan flu and have resulted in harm to Asian households here in Minnesota and across the nation. I attribute Trump to terming Wuhan flu, and what he did was he stopped recognizing Southeast Asian, certain agreements for Southeast Asians and increased deportation for the sole purpose of dividing families here. And if you go to Google, you can search out the WCC article from 2018, where we had to watch families just know that they lost something that they previously had. The late Jim Hagedorn is a federal congressman in southern Minnesota. He recently passed away, but his work on the Ag Committee was, for the last year, was to oppose the Farmers of Color, ensuring equity in the Farmers of Color Act. It was not, he tried and tried and tried to get it eliminated out of the Ag Committee, and he was unsuccessful. And when it passed in the American Rescue Plan, he took to social media to say that it was not right that farmers of color receive this stimulus funding. Subsequently, several Minnesota white farmers sued, and according to Chief Farm Loan Officer of Minnesota, 20 of Minnesota's Asian American farmers lost codified funding because it has been terminated in the court system. Also recently in Austin, Minnesota, where there is a large population of Asians from Burma working in the quality meat packing plant, they lost line speed protections because Hormel and quality pork producers intend to speed up the amount of hogs that are being slaughtered. And this was contested and protested by the workers, but it was eliminated. And there are now 9 plants running faster, including the one in Austin. These are little pockets of people, and they don't have people and voices to really represent them because either they're new here or they don't have the language or they don't have the knowledge. I didn't even have the knowledge to come in and know that I could speak here. And I've been quite aware since 2008 of what's going on. So I just really want you all to understand that long discussion of Wuhan flu, it just cements biases. It just takes, it makes it okay for people to have these things happen to our neighbors. And it's really hard to hear. And like I said, it's the first time I felt like a targeted household, or not me personally, but my husband and children were more targeted during public business. So thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly, for those comments. Then next I have Chen Zhao, is it?
Chen Zhou.
Chen Zhou. Welcome, Chen.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Chen Zhou. I'd like to thank the council, city council, and the mayor for the opportunity to speak, and thank everyone come out to support the cause. I have been a Plymouth resident for years. Both of my children went to Kimberly Lane Elementary, Central Middle School, and Wayzata High School, all in Plymouth. In 2008, Plymouth is named the best place to live in the United States by Money Magazine. To many of us that moved here, this is the best place to live, regardless whichever year, whatever magazine. Last April, many of us marched from the parking lot of Lifetime to Highway 55 in support of anti-Asian hate movement here in Minnesota and throughout the United States. That is why we're so appalled and hurt that one of the council person insisted upon using the words Wuhan flu in recorded public meeting over and over again. Council, you have likely heard many times, including tonight, how offensive this is for your constituents. Let me be one more voice on record to tell you this is the exact language that fans the flame of hatred toward Asians in this city, this state, and this country. That is not okay. Hate is never okay. According to the latest census, there are 81,000 living in Plymouth, out of which there are about 7,500, close to 10%, are Asians. We are Plymouth residents. We're your constituents. We are your neighbors. Our kids go to the same school, play in the same field. We shop in the same store and eat at the same restaurant. In short, this is our home too. We teach our children, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. That might be a tall order for some, but the least one can do is treat your fellow Plymouth residents with decency and respect. Please stop weaponizing this virus. For me to stand in front of this council and speak today, maybe there is a reason why we're no longer the #1 city in the United States anymore. But we sure can be again. I believe we can start with an apology from Council Member Jim Prom. And I also believe this council should not tolerate this behavior. If this to happen again, there should be some form of censure. In this country, we stand up for what is right. We fight for moral reasons. We stand up to those who slander and bully. We care about our neighbors. We do what is right by all residents. So for these reasons, I'm in full support of the diversity, equality, and inclusion manager position. I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chen. We have a little under 3 minutes left. Audrey Britton, you're the last one I have listed.
There's no one else who wants to speak?
No one else. That's all the cards I have.
All righty, so here I am. I'm a 21-year Plymouth resident and one of Plymouth DEI's 545 members. First, I want to thank the 2 at-large and the Ward 3 council members for their unwavering support of diversity, equity, and inclusion in Plymouth. At a recent council meeting, the Ward 4 council member sat in the dais and told his story of COVID. Despite the FBI reporting a 73% increase in hate crimes against Asian Americans, despite 200 gathering right here in Plymouth in support of Asian American neighbors, the council member used racist language and stated falsely that COVID was released from China. This is harmful to those neighbors and the thousands in Plymouth who stand in support of them. At the final budget vote, that same council member, joined by Ward 2 council member, veered from the agenda to make more related, erroneous, and inaccurate comments. The remarks proved beyond any doubt of the need for DEI discussions, learnings, and considerations in Plymouth. The Ward 2 council member indicated that Thomas Sowell spoke for Black Americans. That is akin to saying Phyllis Schlafly, who vehemently opposes equal rights for women, speaks for all women. He claims racism will end if everyone just stops talking about it, and absurdly claims that Denzel Washington agrees with him. Denzel Washington never made any such comment. Slavery ended when people spoke up. Women and people in the minority gained rights when people spoke up. The disabled gained greater access when people spoke up. Over 400 years, hate crimes have decreased, not increased, because people continue to speak up. Bad things happen when good people remain silent. I ask that more, not just 3. Council members, including the mayor, speak up against racism, anti-DEI, and untruthful remarks that are harmful to Plymouth's diverse communities.
All right, thank you, Ms. Britton. That's all the cards I have, and we are at
Mayor, may I
15
speak,
minutes.
to reply?
Typically, we don't
Read.
respond back. We just take those comments directly for the city staff. I do know Councilmember Prom wanted to make a statement as well, so I'll allow him to make a statement.
When someone calls me using racist speech, I think I deserve to at least reply. So I think this is a good example of why I was against the DEI. I'm not feeling a lot of love here. And hate is never okay. I completely agree with you. But in order to hate someone, you have to remove their individual humanity. I invited one person to come and meet with me the way I meet with everyone at a coffee shop. Any one of you could have done that. That's the way I treat everyone, because I treat everyone equally. So you can't start hating somebody until you first take away their humanity and put them into a group. And that's why I was against the DEI, because it puts people in groups. You're this kind of American, you're that kind of American. These are good, those are bad. We're tearing each other apart, and you're proving it right here tonight. When I gave those words about the Wuhan flu, I was specifically speaking about the way that communist Chinese government allowed people to leave while protecting their own. It was more of a government thing than a people thing. I don't think the Chinese people all agree with their communist government. In the same way, I don't think Phyllis Schlafly represents all white women. Each of us is an individual, and the only way that we're going to the only way that we're going to get along is if we treat each other that way. Now, if you were personally offended by my remarks, you had and still have the opportunity to meet with me, because I do that with everyone, and I've done it for the last 8 years. So someone spoke about weaponizing. I was weaponizing the virus. The virus itself was a weapon, and it caused a near catastrophe here in America. The amount of death caused by depression, suicide, it's staggering. The Star Review reports it. The schools that are closed, the kids that aren't learning. Great damage was done from that. And it was created in the Wuhan virology lab. That's where it was created. Whether it was released accidentally, I don't know. But the way that the Chinese government treated it is actually like an attack on America.
Councilmember Prom.
I just want to make one more point, Mr. Mayor. The point I was trying to make that night is it was a terrible virus, and that if you're serious about protecting yourself, you should use an N95 mask, like Mike Osterholm said. And these people came in tonight to call me saying that I said racist things, and I didn't. I was trying to get to the people who are actually concerned about this awful virus. So I'm still happy to meet with any one of them. I don't appreciate, being called a word when I'm not. And I wish them all well. That's enough.